Look who it is. It's the man, the myth, the legend. He is back with the bros, live in action.
I'm here. I made it. I have a beard and no hair. We're all here together, what, a year and a half later.
And if you guys don't remember who the man, the myth, the legend is, this is Trevor Tyson. He was with us. He was like our third ever guest star. So it's great to see you back, Trevor.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I know we talked about it for quite a while, so to be able to circle back in with you guys is going to be fun. I'm excited to be here.
And this is the Christian Music Bros podcast. It's not the Trevor Talks podcast. So don't worry, don't get these podcasts confused. I'm Brendan, and this is Bradden.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
And we want to thank you for tuning in. And we'll let Trevor introduce himself, even though we kind of just already introduced him, but we'll let him introduce himself again.
Yeah, I am a ex-podcaster, the Sasquatch of Social Circle. Um, I like to scream a lot, so I started a metal band, and yeah, I love talking about encouraging things, but also I like to write music about things that I've been through in hopes that it could help heal the hurt in other people's lives. So that's why we named the band Heal the Hurt, because everybody's hurting. Like, if we can give something that could help others heal, whether you like screaming or not, go read the lyrics. I'd like to think they can encourage you in some way.
Awesome. And thank you for joining us again. It's been a year, 5 months, and 27 days since he's last joined us. So welcome back.
Dude, all the way down to the day. I like it. Now, how many hours has it been? That's the real question.
24 hours times 7. So I can't do math right now.
I can't either.
So 24 times 7 times 4 times 12 times another like 4 or something like that.
Oh
If you
yeah.
are
It's
math, please drop the number in the comments. I really want to know what this number is, but I don't have time to
I'd
do
be
it.
curious to know too.
Yeah. So welcome back. Bradden, do you want to start off with anything?
Yeah, so like you said, Heal the Hurt is now a thing. You guys are going at it hard. You just released your debut EP. Can you tell us the story behind it? Like, dude, I've never seen someone transition from a podcaster to a heavy metal vocalist like you did and kill it that awesome. So, yeah, can we just dive into that?
Well, thank you, first of all. Yeah, I've always loved metal and metalcore in particular. I always knew I could scream, but I don't know how else to say it other than I was never gonna allow myself the opportunity to step into the role and like do something like create a band. Um, and I can't really pinpoint it on why. I think it was a factor of insecurity and just I didn't know I could. So to me as a podcaster, and you guys might be able to relate, in my head it was always us and them being the people, the talent, and then us being the ones that like help showcase it. So like over the last 10 years, I've gotten to work with a lot of my heroes and help them launch their music projects. And always had that flame of like, I love heavy music, but I had never written a song. I had never tried to make music myself. I never had that itch. I never had the vision. But towards the end of Trevor Talks, I would say September of 2022, right after Blue Ridge Rock Festival, and we did Choose to Live with Heart Support. And we had 50,000 people tune in to that live stream. And it was awesome, but at the same time, like I was a workaholic and I just went so hard that I ended up in the ER 2 days after Blue Ridge. I weighed about 105 pounds. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was just like wherever the wind was blowing, that's where I was headed, right? I was just gonna give it everything I've got and like, oh, we got this guest, so how am I gonna get to the next? And it was just a very unhealthy thing for me in that season. And like I said, it was all rooted really in insecurity. And I just really didn't know how to accept that and to get better. Right. So I had to spiral out of control until I ended up in the ER, severely dehydrated, exhausted. And I really hated my life at that point. So everybody saw that smiling kid doing the podcast. And inside, I was just hurting like bad, um, severely depressed, just all of it, right? And when I was in the hospital bed, it was like I'm there with a very close friend, what I would call my spiritual mother, that I met through Winter Jam in 2015. And just seeing the face of concern and having a lot of close friends calling and like, what's going on? Like, did you try to take your life? Like, like, what's going on? Like, because I was hiding it. Um, I had a come to Jesus moment, as most people would when they're laying there feeling like they're gonna die. You're like, man, like something's not right. Something's not good. Something's not okay. And I don't want to get back here. So I started the podcast for God and to be a light for him, but somewhere along the way it became about continuing to stay relevant in the space. So I was like, God, like, I'm not happy. I'm not okay. Like, whatever you want to do with me, I need you to do it because something's not right. I can't continue to do this. And it wasn't right then and there, but it was the start of Heal the Hurt, I would say. Um, cold turkey quit podcasting and went off the grid for over a year. Very minimal social posts other than to promote clients and stuff with transparent. Um, not being vocal really at all. I think I did your show and that was it. Um, I got the name Heal the Hurt just randomly one day. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. I'm gonna write it down. And then through reading scripture, I saw a passage. I think it was in a ESV version of the Bible. It said heal the hurt. And then I was like, okay, like whatever this is, it's coincidental, right? As we all do. Like, oh no, that's not me. That's not for me. And then I was listening to Amanda Cook's song Awakening, and it says, um, a ray of light to heal the hurt or something like that. And I was like, oh dang, like I think I'm supposed to start a band. So first call I made was to Josh Sturm, who's the husband of Lacey Sturm, who are my family, really. And I was like, hey, I think I want to start a metal band. He's like, oh Lord, like, what makes you say that? And he was all supportive and he was our first guitar player. He never wrote anything with us. I think he was like, I just needed that assurance from somebody to know that I could do it. So when the Flyleaf reunion and everything popped up, like obviously he had no time with all the kids and stuff. So I needed his assurance and his co-sign on it to then go to Mike Felker of the band Convictions and was like, hey, I interviewed you and I know you're really good at writing and all this stuff. And I'm not a front man. I don't really know what I'm doing. Can you help? So started writing with him and then linked up with a few producers and started putting in the work. And it wasn't like I would say Benny Hinn slapped you in the face and like you're instantly healed. It was like a very, very long process of therapy, finding a medication that worked for me, and then just having to challenge myself to live a better lifestyle when it comes to work-life balance, but also when it comes to nutrition and things that you don't want to think about, like working out. Everybody's like, oh, I don't want to work out, but then they're struggling with depression and not working out and wondering why they're depressed. And it's like, I get it. I did that for the longest time. And now I know that if I'm not like out at least walking the dog and getting some sun and taking care of myself, taking time off work to be a person, what am I doing? I'm just withering in what was and what is if I don't make a change for it. Goes into one of those old sayings, if you're expecting different results by doing the exact same thing, in my terminology would be you're an idiot. Like you're just not making good decisions. And I was an idiot, so I'm not calling people that. I'm saying for me, like that was my inward expression. And Feel the Hurt started with really me coming to the end of myself, realizing that there's something really wrong with how I'm living my life, and then accepting that God, if there's something you want to do different in me, I need to allow you to do that. And before all this, Trevor, would you ever say Trevor Talks would ever be done? No, that's my identity at that point, mind you. My identity was that show. My identity was the red carpet stuff. My identity was getting the next big guest and how big are we going to take this. But that almost killed me. So I had to come to the end of myself to realize that there is purpose in my life, but I need to be open to potentially stepping out and being critiqued in a different way that's really scary, and it's being an artist. And I can happily say, like, it's not about what people think about the band. I could really care less. Like, it's really cool that people relate with it and they like it. That's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. But it makes me happy. And I feel like I'm putting something that can genuinely help people out there, because in my teen years, I needed metalcore. I needed bands like Memphis Mayfire and August Burns Red, The Devil Wears Prada. I needed that. I genuinely needed it because that's where I found a lot of comfort, which is funny. A lot of people hear heavy metal and they're like, "Grr, like, how do you not get angry listening to that?" And it's like, I get calm. Like, it makes me so happy. In fact, the heavier the song is, the happier I am. So yeah, like, that's a bunch of rabbit trails in between, but Heal the Hurt started in a place of hurt and me deciding, like, okay, like, I think this is a way that God's going to use to heal me. And as I was telling you guys before we hopped on, like, suddenly my weight in my body starts going up and I'm not as depressed and the anxiety starts to go down. I still experience like panic attacks and stuff, especially around like doing live events, live shows, because that's still very new to me being a frontman. Because it's like people expect you to put on a show, not just go up there and hold the mic and no, like you got to jump around like you own the place, really. Um, and turn into like a Sasquatch, or you're not doing it right. And learning who I am on stage and such is very difficult, but it's been cool. Like, I genuinely feel like a human being again. I'm not like hiding depression, and that makes me really happy. And I hope that people can hear this story and be like, oh, like, he doesn't sound like he did on the podcast. And it's like, because I'm not trying to put on a show anymore. um we can be human beings and have conversations, and just because you're not so at any given point doesn't mean something is wrong. It's like, can we have a real conversation and put all the BS aside? Like, i I don't want to do that anymore, and I don't want to hide me, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're doing that, like, what are you doing? You're diminishing your mental well-being for the sake of what someone else might think about you. So I'll end it with that, but I hope that answered anything. And if there's any follow-up questions, I can answer those too.
Wow,
Thank you
that's
for-
incredible.
Thank you for sharing. So I have this up. Give me a second if I can figure this out. So if you're wondering who Trevor is, I found this photo the other day while I was scrolling through. This is when we first met. So why did stage this then?
Yeah, the hair, the beard. I'm not like super like skinny. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and I get to make music now, which is cool. Which I'm wearing a Conviction shirt in that. So it was definitely after Mike and I had started working on Heal the Hurt, which I would call him our executive producer, because he Felker has been such a blessing to myself and to this project. I've gotten to help his band with a lot of the stuff on the like back end management, like getting them ready to have a real manager and a great booking agent, like rolling out all their stuff. So we've gotten to help each other in that regard, and he's become like a brother to me. So that's cool to see that picture, because I was on the other side of the downfall and I was starting to learn, like, be happy again. So like that face of is genuinely me being happy. Like, that's my personality. I just like to be what I would call dumb and mindless, and being able to create, like you guys, like you get to create podcast episodes like with what I would assume is your best friend. Um, that's making music for me. I love collaborating. I don't like writing alone. I can write songs and they're fine, but they get so much better when I start working with Mike or my friend Hance or Alec that's in my band. We just worked on a really cool song with Josiah Prince from Disciple, which isn't announced yet. Um, and it's so much more fun when you get to work with your friends. So my favorite part about creating music in general is getting to collaborate with people, especially people that I love. Um, when you see us touring, which we haven't made an announcement on, rest assured it's with people that I want to tour with. We're not just taking any offer that comes in the door. I would say probably a poor business decision on the band front, but we decline a lot just because like we're gonna slowly work our way into it. Like you start getting opportunities, it's so easy to be like let's go do everything. And it's like I want to tour with my friends to learn like, can I do this every day?
We com
Um
we completely
yeah,
understand like declining.
yeah.
I mean, like we get so many guest requests on the podcast, and some of these people are like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, and it's not like who are you as an artist? It's
Yeah.
like some people just aren't a good fit, and it's okay to say that. Like a lot of podcast episode requests we would get in, I just genuinely didn't feel like I could carry a conversation on with the people. And it's like it's nothing against them. It's just like I don't click with this and I don't want to act like I do. Um, and when you have someone on your show, and which before I say this, I'll say I'm humbled that you had me back. You're co-signing that person. So if you get a weird vibe about somebody and it's like, I don't really know, like it's okay to say no. And it's also okay to know you're good at something. Like I could have a great conversation with X, Y, and Z, but I don't really know what you're doing. I don't understand it. Like, and it's just as simple as saying, hey, like I don't think we're a good fit, but thank you so much for reaching out. Like I had to say that so many times. And that's okay. Like you you don't have to understand everything and you don't have to interview everybody. That's not what you're here to do. You're here to like be encouraging and support bands and brands that you really believe in. I think it's admirable.
And for those who haven't listened to Heat of the Hurts EP yet, it just came out this past Friday. So, but this is probably not gonna be posted for another week or two. So it's
Yeah.
been out for about a couple weeks now. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
That's Trevor released a few singles here before the EP, and now the EP's here. Can you tell us what your favorite song off the EP is?
Man, it's the last song that we wrote for the EP, and it's the intro track. It's called Suffocating on Sorrow or SOS. And that was like I said, the last song that we wrote for it. And it surprisingly has been a lot of people's favorite. And the fun fact about that is that's like the most involved, like creatively on a producing level that I was involved with a song, like from starting with a synth and piano and the thunder up into like hurt. And then like just getting really heavy. That was all intentional because it's when you start to have a panic attack, you're like, am I about to have a panic attack? Thunder, right? And it's an eerie vibe into that song, and then the synth wave of like it just kind of swells up, and you have all these thoughts racing in your mind, and then when it hits, it gets really heavy. And the song is really me calling out to God, like, save me now because I something's wrong. Like the scars under my skin because you can't see them. It it hurts. It's not fun. And the song, like when you hear me yell heal the hurt, like and it's really drung out and you can hear Alec hear the scars under my skin, it gets really melodic. There's actually like a choir under that, like which by choir I mean a bunch of me doing that baked into it. So like it adds an element to it, but literally everything about that intro was very intentional. And I feel like you can feel the emotion because I didn't try to articulate it as much. I was just literally like, "Can you save me? Because I don't feel okay." And Mike helped me get it to a point of no return. Like, hey, you don't have to articulate everything like you did in Withering or whatever. Like, you don't everything doesn't have to sound poetic. Like, this is a raw song, so keep it that way. Um, and then like the clean vocals and harmonies and stuff I wrote with Kenzie Coyne, who has a band called Hello Luna, and it's like a pop rock band. So I like to take a bunch of different flavors from a bunch of different genres. Um, I love listening to artists like Sigrid, who's like I think she's Swedish, a Swedish pop star, and not metal at all. She did a song with Bring Me the Horizon, and I was like, dang, this girl's really good. And then in the Christian world, I would say like I think you pronounce it like Seversina, or she did a song with Holvey and Lecrae, and she has a great record out, which I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but it's just so good. Um, anyways, back to the conversation. I love pulling inspiration from a bunch of different genres, and the EP itself was a collection of me finding my voice and finding what our flavor is. And I think you can tell that, like, the EP, the reason I called it Heal the Hurt is it's an introduction into who we are, but also, like, they're very different songs and they're very different emotions throughout each track. Um, to wrap up the question about the favorite song, yes, definitely intro. And I know you have other questions, so I don't want to answer them before you ask them.
You're good. You're good. Bradden, do you have anything you want to add off of that?
Yeah, man. I love so much what you're saying about music and everything, especially the impact of it. Like, dude, I loved it. Listen to the EP, of course. I love metal music. Memphis May Fire are what top tier they've been for years. So listen to that. I loved it. But the message of it, the vulnerability of it, like, dude, that impacted me. Like right now, I have wristbands of Grace Graber and Thousand Foot Crutch, two artists that their music has helped me through a lot of hardships and stuff. Just seeing how that music connects with people, it's a beautiful thing, and you're seeing that on the forefront now with these songs. So I wanted to ask you, like, what songs are you seeing really connect to people the most? I know you said the first song was really standing out, but like performing them live, getting messages from fans. Have you got any big impacts yet already? Stories from this EP reaching people?
um, we have gotten a lot of response from Withering in particular on like a personal level. And then the EP as a collective for a lot of people is it just feels vulnerable and feels like something they can gravitate towards in a time of hardship. Um, Suffocating on Sorrow has clicked with a lot of people, and it's still so new that like we haven't got to play any of these songs live. The only songs I've gotten to play live are I did The Decree with Lacey Sturm at two of her Canonic Metanoia tour dates. And then we played Stained Glass, which isn't on the EP, my collab with Holy Name. We did that at Rock Against Traffic in Pomona a few weeks ago. And that song, Stained Glass, has just blown my mind. Like it debuted at number 7 on the secular like metal charts with iTunes, and it was up there with songs that I was listening to at the time, like Nothing More, not a Christian band. They have a song called "Is It If It Doesn't Hurt" that I just really love, and it was right under that. And the song is about my faith journey of, like I talked about earlier, it started for God, and then somewhere it like got working in the Christian industry comes with a lot of emotions, and I'm going to be very careful on how I say this. Um, if you don't fit a certain mold or dance a certain way or sing a certain way, you're not going to get support from the overarching industry of it, it's so hard not to call people out. You
Mhm.
you have to dance a certain way and tango with them if you want to get support from them. And through stained glass, I found a sacred space was outside of that. It's like, okay, I've toured with some of the biggest bands in not only rock and metal, but also like CCM. Like I've toured in arenas, promoting films for artists, and some of the most amazing people I've met in my life were within that. I would say like Jeremy and Adrian Camp are super amazing people. Um, and there's a lot of like amazing people within the industry itself, but there's also a lot of people that hurt you, and maybe they're not intentionally doing that and they think that they're not, but they're gatekeeping. And even like when it comes to my love for metal and rock, like the reason the Grizzly Awards started, which I didn't help start it, I helped do the last 2 years of it, but one of the passions behind it was because Billboard no longer has a Christian rock chart. The Dove Awards don't like rock and metal very well. And in a Kingdom Core post, I commented like, "Yo, when are the Doves gonna like bring rock and metal back in?" And I got some emoji responses from whoever runs their social accounts. So very playfully, like they don't support heavy music. I will say like it's really cool to see Lacey Surum nominated for Rock Album of the Year, but homie, like you don't see real metal artists like in really heavy music getting nominated or even noticed by them. I saw it when I was, and I can't say the artist's name, when I was working with a big artist that just so happened to come back and start releasing music heavier than they once did. And I don't, I'd like to see a change there, and I've offered to help, and it's almost like it hits a brick wall and never gets addressed. So, and I don't want it to sound like I'm dogging anyone. I'd like to say that like outlets like Jesus Wired and New Release Today, um, Kevin McNeese, and even yourself have done an amazing job with supporting independent bands, and also supporting heavy music. I'd love to say that uh, the Dove Awards did that, but like they had Brian Head Welch and Red perform in like 2012, 2014, and it was such an impactful thing for me as a fan, as like not even being able to drive. I think I was in middle school at the time, and I was like, this is amazing. Like they're able to do this, and then having bands like or artists like NF perform there. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe someone, even Cutlass, like Thousand Foot Crutch, all these bands used to get to perform. Not anymore. Skillet gets nominated, which is awesome, but Rock Song of the Year going to people that aren't even rock artists, like it's pretty, in my opinion, not. I don't. I don't. I don't think it's cool. Like, and I've offered all the way up to the point of like, hey, I'll start like a board. Like, I'll do it for free. Um, and I don't even know if this will make the podcast. Y'all might cut it out, but there's a lot of feelings there, obviously. I think, like I said, New Release Today, Jesus Wired, Jesus Freak Hideout, CCM Magazine have done an amazing job at supporting heavy music. And I hope people can hear my heart isn't coming from a judgmental place or coming from a place of like, wham, like I'm whining about it. I just think it, I'd like to see a change, and maybe that's not their goal. Um, but if your tagline's going to be "We're all stronger together," then why aren't we welcome to the table? You know, why can't we be stronger with you? Because it feels like y'all are stronger together. and we're just getting left to the wayside. Disciple got nominated for Promise to Live, which I think is very beautiful. I heavily advocated for that song. I love that song. A lot of times there's not real rock bands getting nominated for these award shows, and I just think it would be awesome to see some heavier music brought to the table. That's all. And that was coming off of a question about the EP and Stained Glass. Holy Name had one of the most impactful songs of, I would even say, the past 10 years in Christian metal, Fall on Your Knees, live with Brian Head Welch and Brooke Reeves at like 1.8 million views. We didn't spend any ad money on that. That's all people sharing it, and maybe the algorithm liked it. I don't know. That song has impacted people on a global scale. And I didn't see any love for that song come from a lot of the overlords or gatekeepers. So I'll end with that. I love Holy Name. I love heavy music. I love the Doves. Like, getting to interview people on the red carpet was a huge thing for me, and I'll always appreciate that. But I will be vocal about, I would love to see some opportunity for heavy bands.
That's a great idea. I like that too. Bradden, I think Bradden agrees with that too.
Very much, yes.
We just have a few extra minutes with you today. Do you have any of you're performing yet? So people can come support you guys. If you can't say anything yet, we completely understand that too.
I have one performance this year, and it's not with Heal the Hurt. So I can't really say anything about it because it's not my band and not my event. But it'll be really special, and I'm gonna give it everything I've got. You can rest assured on that. And
So
I
the
just
so the Linkin Park rumors Linkin Park coming back together. It's Trevor, guys. We're just saying that now.
Dude, if Linkin Park let me come back with them, I would totally. I could never do anything for the rest of my life, and I'd be fine. But no, this it's gonna be really fun. It's not in the US too, so I'm nervous, a little frightened, but also like I'm just really stoked to get to bring my vocals to another continent. Being on stage in general it feels like somebody's giving me a big hug, because I've always desired and I've always admired performance. Like, I'm not the one in the mosh pit. I'm the one admiring how dialed in the band is and how passionate and emotional they are while they're performing. So being able to do that, like, I oftentimes end up either on my knees or like crying after. I know I did after the Pomona show, because it was the first time I've ever heard my lyrics screamed back at me. So it was just very impactful. Next year we'll definitely be playing some shows. And I think people will be really excited to see who with. So Feel the Hurt is open for business. We are ready to play. I'd love to play Uprise Festival. That's like one that I would love to play. I love Uprise. I think they do a really amazing job at balancing like the heavy bands. Like, they've got 3 stages, and I'm not paid by them. I've never worked for them. I've only been to Uprise one time. They've got the main stage, they've got the like rock star stage, and they've got a hip hop stage. The hip hop stage, like Andy Mineo, Holvey, like all the like Reach Records people that aren't Lecrae, he's always on main stage, and then they have Skillet on the main stage, and I think this year they have like Switchfoot or somebody like that. Striper too. Like, out of all the like festivals in the country, especially in the Christian world, they've got it going on over there. Like, I would be honored to be on that lineup at some point. I just think it's incredible. Yeah, they've got such a really cool lineup over there. And they love heavy bands. They support heavy bands. and they do it time and time again. And I think they're building something really special. So if people are listening and they never want to listen to Heal the Hurt, like go show Uprise Fest some love. Like I watch from afar and try to engage with all the stuff they post just because it's like for me as a fan, they're offering something really special. And I think it's incredible.
And everyone that hasn't, make sure you support Trevor and his new project and support Uprise. Brian, do you have anything else you want to add right before we wrap this up?
Yeah, really quick before we go, because Trevor, we love encouraging you. We love getting people, pointing them towards you. I was on a phone call just recently with a friend. He was like, "Dude, I need more Christian metal," and I'm like, "Heal the Hurt, Convictions, Holy Name." So you've always been a huge champion of this industry. So really quick, what are a few names for people who are looking for more really impactful Christian metal music? Who would you recommend?
There's so many great options, and I'll limit it to people that are like new. Like more recently, I've found bands like No Treaty, which they only have one song out right now called Monolith, and it's so good. Confessions of a Traitor, who's also on Face Down. There's this guy, he's a one-man band, Spirit Walker, which also not announced. He's going to be playing shows with us as our lead guitar player. Um, Pipe Bomb, which is another one-man band that's just really incredible. I'm trying to think. Reformed is really sick. On Rockfest Records, they're not a new band, but like highly underrated in my opinion amongst the giants. The Protest isn't really metal and they're not new. Like I really love those guys. Um, yeah, like all those bands are really cool, and there's so many that I'm leaving out. I should just get them all tattooed on my hand. But when it comes to like legacy bands that I really like, um, obviously Flyleaf, Memphis Mayfire, Devil Wears Prada. When it comes to like strict, like these guys are Christians 100%. Um, Holy Name, like being on one of their songs, I didn't really realize the impact that it was going to have until after it was out. I did. It's still hard for me to see Tommy as a rock star because he's just Tommy to me. And I wasn't around for Sleeping Giant days, so Holy Name is like new, but also like Tommy did Sleeping Giant for 10 years, so like that whole base has really supported them. And I can keep going on for hours. There's just so many amazing bands. Unworthy is another like really heavy one. Intercessor is like a deathcore band, but they're Christian. Like deathcore is just a genre. It's that kind. Um, yeah, so many amazing bands that are coming out, and I could go on for hours, so I'll stop.
Love those. Oh yeah.
And coming soon is a new book by Trevor Tyson with each band and a description.
Yeah, dude, I would love to write just a band book, and there's no full sentences, it's just band names of like eerie yet hopeful music. Heal the Hurt. Yep. Then like this one's heavy, but not super heavy.
The Christian
Just a bunch of
Metalcore
them.
Encyclopedia.
Hey, maybe me and Bradden and can collaborate on a playlist for a light fire playlist, which this episode really wasn't to promote Heal the Hurt. It was me coming incognito to promote light fire playlists. So can you talk about that for a few minutes? Like I think it's really cool. And I think it ties into what you're doing with the Christian Music Bros. Like I think it'd be really cool for you guys to collaborate on a playlist for that with like bands that you have interviewed and like were really impacted by, or maybe like the last interview we did before I did music, we were talking about songs of hope. Yeah, I personally as a fan want to hear about what you're doing with the playlist game, because people don't realize like when you make a playlist, like that's you like literally being the hands and feet and supporting bands, because it's opening up new ears to people. So like I want to hear about that personally.
Yeah, definitely. It started off just like a side thing because, of course, new release today and then Christian Music Bros podcast. And still, I had desire to do more Christian music to help people find so much different types of music. So I sat down, made a few playlists on Spotify, and then started tweaking it, the branding of it, added more newer artists. And then the first follower we got was for a playlist called Christian War Battle Songs. which is like a cinematic rock Christian playlist. And dude, God just took it off from there. Like now, it's crazy seeing the numbers. About at one point we had like 10,000 people check our Instagram in a month. So like,
Wow.
yeah, literally. Like we love posting just new artists who are releasing new music. We love collaborating, whether it's on YouTube ways or Spotify playlist or just so many different ways. Lightfire is pretty much becoming a spot that we do playlists, we do promotion of new artists just to be the hub to find Christian music that's not your standard Kayla, it's not your standard, big names got to promote, but these are like new artists who are putting out. Like I want our slogan to be kind of like Christian music's better than mainstream. It always has been. It's just got to look more into these genres of like metal or hip hop or pop that doesn't sound like your standard Chris Tomlin. No offense, love Chris Tomlin still, but it's always cool finding music that's actually stands out more. That's better than mainstream. I'm just sick of hearing Christian music's worse when it's like you're just looking at it wrong. So
Mm.
I love it, man. That's just what the door God's opened, and we've been able to collaborate with so many artists. Like a lot of people we've interviewed here have actually come from Lightfire to the Bros podcast. So
That's
I
cool.
love what God's done for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and Christian Music Bros has been something really special to watch grow. Um, being able to be your unofficial branding guy has been something that I'll always cherish. And I really love what you guys are doing, and I watch it. I try to engage as much as I can. Um, I really think it's special, and I think what you guys are doing is commendable. A lot of people don't see the work that it takes to put together a podcast, from booking the guests to having to like reschedule it, to having to figure out how to make a graphic properly, and upload it. Like there's so many moving pieces. Like for each episode, you're probably putting 4 hours of work into it that never gets noticed. And I just wanted to say, from a fan perspective, that I'm really proud of you guys, because it's been a little over a year and a half for you guys, and it's really not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of emotions that go into it that when I was podcasting, I would never talk about. And I just want to say, like, there's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows, there's a lot of valleys, there's a lot of peaks. There's a lot of emotions that go into it. And when you put yourself out there, like, you're gonna have people that are naysayers, and they feel inclined to tell you how much you suck at some point. And it's like that, it's not enough to take that fire from you. And I think it's like really, really beautiful that you guys have been able to keep this thing going, with being a duo. The Christian Music Bros are the duo for Christian music. And there's a lot of podcasts that start and have 5 episodes come out and then they give up. And I remember the last time I was on, y'all were getting like 12 downloads a piece. Like, and now, I mean, like I saw before I came on here, and you guys wouldn't spout it, but y'all just hit 200 subscribers on YouTube alone in a year and a half. That's a lot more than a lot of YouTubers. And podcasting isn't easy. Putting yourself out there isn't easy, but putting yourself out there in a way that people actually want to listen to it, that's the hardest part. Showing up is the hardest part. And I just want to say thank you guys for doing what you're doing. From a fan perspective, I really enjoy seeing you guys grow. I think what you're doing is really special, and I'm just grateful that you would have me back on to talk about my band. So I can't wait to promote this episode. Thank y'all for supporting Trevor Talks and Heal the Hurt. I love what you're doing. And as you know, I hope you know by now, I'm always here to support.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's been a
thank
simple
you.
thank you. We could go on a soapbox, but we're not gonna do that on camera, so because we're still recording. Thank you again, Trevor. We appreciate you like always, and make sure to follow Trevor and keep it up to date with his stuff, and be on the lookout for new episodes of the Christian Music Birth podcast as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.